Hello, everybody. Welcome to and welcome back to my channel, Book Time with Elvis, with me, Mark, and I'm joined in what's becoming a rather regular feature with two fantastic gentlemen, Jim from Mystery and Mayhem and Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you doing?
We're doing good here.
Good, doing well. Hi, everyone.
Hey,
So we'll start as we always do. What have you read this week? Greg, we'll start with you. We'll go round.
on my Kindle, I read a Finnish police procedural.
Oh, I think I saw you mention that you were reading it while you were doing the live.
Yeah, it was Helsinki Homicide: Cold Trail, and it's basically about a convict. He was convicted for murdering his wife, and then his father dies. And I guess in Finland, if your father's died and you're in jail, you're allowed to go to the funeral under escort. And they stop off for whatever the wake, have the meal. And the escort says, okay. And the convict says, well, I got to use the restroom. He goes, okay, be back in 10 minutes. And he just wanders off. So now it's all tracking down the convict. And, was he actually guilty of the crime that he committed? And ultimately, there's no real characterizations in the book. I mean, it's very standard. Now, I don't know if this is the first in the series. I think it's supposed to be the first. It didn't feel like the first in the series. It felt like the way the characters just popped on the page, like you're supposed to know who they are. And the only thing really interesting about it was the Helsinki setting, because it's just a little bit different than normal police procedurals. And I was like, if you were in prison for a life sentence for murder on your wife, they would not let you out for a funeral, I don't think.
I don't know. I think I want to say in the UK they might. I don't know. I think they have like compassionate releases and things, maybe. But I guess it all depends on the circumstances of your murder, maybe, and things like that. I mean, if you were a psycho serial killer, they wouldn't probably let you out. But if you killed somebody in a bar, if you killed somebody in a bar brawl, they might do. But I don't know. Probably, I don't know. I'm not sure.
But anyway, I just did not like it very much.
Who was the writer, Greg?
Jarenko Sapel. I mean, he's Finnish.
Some Finnish guy.
It's translated from Finnish, so
I've read a couple of the Wallander series by Henning Mankell, and
he's Swedish.
It's Swedish, yeah, Swedish, and he's good. I enjoy those stories, but again, it depends on the translator too. I mean, sometimes you'll read one and you're reading it, and some things just are kind of off, and that could be due to the translation. But they're enjoyable.
They are, but as I said, I don't think I'll read more of this series. It just wasn't captivating. There's a lot of police procedurals that are pretty good.
Yeah.
And one of the things
you've read Ed McBain before.
Oh yeah, well, I mentioned it when I did my brief. Like, if I want to read a police procedure, I'm just going to pick up Ed McBain again, because he's really good with his characters and gets you into the spirit of each police officer being a little bit different. And one of the problems is that the Finnish names are sometimes a little difficult to it's like even worse than Russian names, when you're reading Dostoevsky and getting through like, who is this character,
Well, Finnish is it's a very difficult language anyway. I mean, it's I want to say, because like in Czech we have 7 cases. Like the words, but the nouns change as well. So like it means like you have Praha, which is Prague, but if you're going to Praha, you don't go to Praha, you go to Prahi, and it changes like 7 times. Yeah, it's really confusing. And I want to say in Finnish they have something like 11 or 14 of these variations. So it's a very difficult language anyway. It's not one where people are queuing up to learn it, I think.
It's different. Like, if I want to learn a language, like try to Spanish, I can read a lot in Spanish, talk to people in Spanish. But Finnish is a lot less to read and a lot less opportunity to talk to someone in Finnish.
Yeah,
unless you want to go to Finland.
Yeah. So
Now, is English the most difficult language, like to learn grammar wise? I know people can pick it up to speak, but I heard grammar wise, I mean, the rules are a little complex. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? I think English is it's extremely easy to get proficient and to be at a level of communication and to learn the grammar insofar as the rules apply. But as we know with English grammar, there's always exceptions, and those exceptions cause problems. So I'd say to become proficient as an educated English speaker is probably quite difficult, to get to that level where you could pass yourself off as being not foreign would be quite difficult, I think. But yeah, but grammatically, I would have to say, certainly my experience, something like Czech is harder.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's really hard.
Apparently, Hungarian is like the hardest European language for non-native speakers.
Well, Hungarian and Finnish are actually of the same group. It's I forget what they call it. It's like Finno. No, what is it? Uralic. I don't know, but it's like Estonian, Finnish, and Hungarian in this kind of
like you're talking about the origins of the language,
Right.
like
yeah. So like we have Romance
Arabic,
languages, and
yeah. If you try to learn Arabic, it's like a totally different origin language.
Yes.
Like it's almost like an alien language. But I mean, Finnish and Hungarian and Spanish, whatever, have kind of the same kind of origin.
Right. Now, I see in the comment, like Aaron was mentioning, that Finnish is a pre-Indo-European language like Basque.
Right. I can't see the comments. You must be on your phone. You're looking at your phone.
no, they're on the right side. Probably you have to change something on the.
Yeah. If you're on your
Yep. Got him. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. All right, Aaron's right there. It's but it's in that group. I mean, but there's no relationship between Finnish and any other of the European languages. Yeah, so like Czech, Polish, Russian, Ukrainian, whatever, they're all similar. There are differences, of course, but you can. It doesn't mean it's mutually like Czechs and Slovaks can speak pretty much their own language and be almost 100% understood. I guess it helped the fact that they were obviously one country at some point as well. Polish has words where you can understand, at least you think you understand what it is if you know what the Czech is, but the Polish version can be very different. So and sometimes it can be quite dangerous. So like Poland has a word for looking for something, but in Czech it translates as in something. And then, for example, you have the word sklep, which is in Czech, it means cellar, like a downstairs space, the cellar. But in Polish, it means shop. So it's the same word. It's come around somehow, whatever. But yeah, and I think in Russian as well, you have Russian, the word krasny means red, but in Czech and other Slavic languages means beautiful. So, yeah.
I tried to learn Arabic. I tried to teach myself Arabic because it's just a language that fascinates me. But I find that with the way our mouth works, like they have to use their tongue at the roof of their mouth a lot, like the sound. And that's something you have to master when you're speaking Arabic. And I don't remember any of it now, but I remember when I was a driver and I used to go to the farms and there was a lot of, Arabic guys, Muslims, whatever, and you'd say thank you when they would just, their face would light up that you were able to say thank you in their own language, but just the way the mouth works, it's like totally alien to what we're used
Shukran? Is it shukran?
Shukran, and then Allah ibarak fik, and God be with you, and that kind of thing, and but yeah, it's just a totally different way to get your mouth to work.
But I always like the gesticulation with languages, how things are different in that respect. So like you often see Arabs they often put their hand to their hearts and things when they talk, shukran, like this kind of, and I really like that. It's like Japanese people would always point when they're referring to themselves, it's like me, and they point like to their nose, you know, whereas I would be more inclined to say me and point to my chest. Yeah. I love these kind of little differences. So
When you talk about languages, Chinese like is a tonal language.
Mhm.
And I remember I was working with a guy who married a Taiwanese woman, and he was giving me a very brief thing on tones and just how hard it is. Because you can say the same word in different and they're completely different meanings.
It's like you have, I think, ma, and you have 4 tones in Mandarin. One of them is mother, one of them is horse. So if you say the wrong tone, could be bad. But if you learn Cantonese, it's 9 tones. So you know, with Mandarin, you've only got 4 to worry about, but with Cantonese, you've got 9 of them. So it's yes, thank you, Aaron. That's the word I was thinking. Uralic, yeah, closer to Hungarian and Turkish and Estonian as well than any other European language. Yeah, no, the tones are yeah, I would imagine quite tricky, but it's fascinating. I was very impressed with your guest on your show, obviously speaking fluent Spanish, like Caitlin.
Yeah, well, that's the way she described it is like you're in a situation where you have to learn the language, you know. And when I was doing Duolingo, it's just so easy not to really study hard on your computer trying to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a language learning tip that I picked up from a biography of the Marquis de Sade.
Mm.
Marquis de Sade said there's a very good way to learn a language. He says, get yourself a mistress who speaks it.
I came across this in Japan, and they used to call it a pillow teacher.
Richard Francis Burton, he could learn a language in like 3 months and speak it like a native, and that's what he did. He would hire somebody who spoke the language, and then he would get all the inflections and how to say it, which is important, and that's exactly what he would do too. You know, it just
he was a polyglot. He spoke like 23, 24 languages.
Yeah, amazing man. Honestly, I don't know.
It's a gift. Some people just instantly start picking up foreign languages.
Yeah, and then he'd be a scholar. After 3 months, he'd speak that like scholarly. It was just amazing.
And he could pass for native.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, did you read, like he went on a pilgrimage to Mecca.
Mm.
He did the Hajj.
A Hajj. And now, if you get caught on the Hajj and you're not a Muslim, it's.
I don't know if it's like that now, but back then they would have torn them apart.
Yeah,
you know, like
I have to do my Alan impression here. So
yes, I've been looking for that book, Mark.
Oh well, you're in a better situation than me because I've only got volume 1. I haven't got the second volume, so it's really frustrating.
Isn't that public domain by now, Mark?
Oh yeah, but I got it years ago. I asked for it for Christmas one year. It's probably print on Dover Publications. This is so. Yeah, I think you can still get it.
I've got to get a physical copy of it. You know.
Yeah, it's annoying because he goes only up to. Well, he makes it to Hamza's tomb, I guess. So, and the Prophet's mosque. So that's something, I guess. So we get to Al Madinah anyway. So
nice. Yeah,
he's a fascinating character, though. He really is. I was thinking we need to do something one day on the Arabian Nights. So it would be great.
That would be it. The problem is it'd be very hard to do the whole Arabian Nights. That's like 3,000 pages or something.
Yeah.
You can get the 3 volumes in Penguin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I've got a paperback of it somewhere here in the perfume garden. I got a couple of things from him and a couple of biographies. I mean, he's just a fascinating human being.
Did you read Candice Millard's River of the Gods book, Jim?
No, I didn't.
That's a good one.
It's very good. Yeah, it's well worth it. Yeah, it's a strange one. It is very good, but the funny thing is, she kind of like sells it on the point that I've forgotten his name. Bless him.
The guy
Bombay.
who actually
Speak.
discovered
I want to say native. I can't say native these days, can I? The African guy.
the
Was
guy.
he African? He was African, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yes,
The
I know.
African
Yeah,
guy.
he was very critical.
Sidi Bombay. Sidi Bombay was his name.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
And
So,
he doesn't get credit in history.
well, no, but that's the thing. But it's kind of weird because I think she's maybe feeling the room, as it were, and trying to kind of make it about him. But it still ends up basically being mostly about, because of the lack of information, mostly about Speke and Burton anyway. So it's still good, the bits that we learn about him. But I think it was kind of a bit misleading to try and make it just about him, as she kind of suggests from the cover and stuff. But it's excellent. It's worth reading, for sure.
River of the Gods.
River of the Gods, yeah, by Candace Millard.
That's her third book, I think. I've read all three of them.
I've got 3 of them. I think she's got 5 actually. She's got one about a political. Sorry,
she's got the River of Doubt about Roosevelt. That's her best.
Roosevelt. Mm-hmm.
And she's got one on Churchill, his escape.
Yeah.
And then in the River of something, the River of
River
Gods.
River of the Gods, and then she's got another one about one of the presidential races in America.
The guy who was assassinated.
Mm. And then I think there's another one as well, but not. Maybe it was like really maybe her first one or something. I don't know.
Okay, so I've read all 4 of hers. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's worth checking out, Jim.
I'm going to look for it. Yeah.
Let's just run through the comments quickly. We have quite a few people watching, probably just enjoying our dulcet tones. Aaron's here. Thanks, Aaron. We've already seen your comment, so we knew you were here. Just want to be polite and say hi properly. Jenny's here as well, asking
Jenny.
if we're looking forward to the weekend. Of course, every day is the weekend for Greg, so
Yes, yeah, looking forward to the weekend. It'll be a nice one. Hopefully the weather gets a little better. It's been cold and foggy and rainy and
and Aaron, I think the Cray twins were allowed out to attend their mother's funeral, but they were heavily guarded. Don't know if you guys know the Cray twins at all. Or
yeah.
No.
British gangsters, basically. Yeah, there's been a couple movies on them I watched. I haven't really read anything about them, but yeah, I'm aware of them.
Yeah, they were just gangsters in the 60s in London, and obviously they were twins. But they were serious people.
Yeah, apparently, eh?
Not
guys you'd want to mess with.
No, definitely not. Yeah, okay, we've seen that one. Thank you. Jenny says she's chatting there with Aaron. Aaron Face is here, as we saw already. Sorry, I forgot I pulled that up.
Hello, Aaron.
We've got 2 out of the 3 Aarons here, so we just need.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Hi, guys.
Jenny's pillow teacher. Apparently, the old British term for it was a sleeping dictionary. Jenny's always wanted to try Rosetta Stone for learning a new language and see how long it takes before I give up.
Well, yeah. I should actually learn French because my wife's French, and I'm in Canada, and it's a bilingual country. So I should, if I want to learn a language, it should be French, I guess.
Didn't you have to learn in school, or it wasn't compulsory?
Up to a certain grade, we had to take French up to grade 5 or 6. And then it was just an option after that. You didn't have to. You could carry on with it after a certain grade if you wanted to. And I didn't, unfortunately. I wish I had now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We took a trip to Quebec City a couple of years back, and I kind of wish I'd known the language then. But they were all very nice people.
Well, I sometimes think they're lucky, really, a little bit, though, because I can't imagine. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine if things went the other way on the plains of Abraham, if English would have been allowed to have survived as a language of Canada.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
funny.
that the French wouldn't have allowed it probably. So,
Yeah, it's funny how things work out
mm,
with hindsight.
yeah, who knows, eh?
Yeah.
It's a odd thing. Anyway, Jim, over to you after our little hiatus. What have you read this week?
Well, I finished reading Ombre by Elmore Leonard, which
Oh,
I
good
love.
one.
Yeah, very short book. I mean, it didn't take me long at all, but it was a really very cinematic. I mean, Elmore
Hmm.
Leonard kind of writes like that. He's a very cinematic writer. And then I'm reading now To Have and Have Not by Ernest Hemingway. I'm just about halfway through, but it's not. I don't know. It's thrown me off a little bit. Yeah,
Do I
it
have
was a
that
good
one?
book. I really
Doing
enjoyed
my
it.
Alan, my tribute to Alan.
Yep. My paperback is, I think, in the other room. I got an old paperback from the 73, I think, 1973 or
Uh-huh.
74. But I loved it. I'm a fan of Elmore Leonard to begin with.
Yeah, I read with that. I read with Alan actually, and Criminoli last year in June on the Range. We read his shorts, his Western collection of short stories. Excellent.
The big book. The big
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
I've got that on my shelf. I haven't got all the way through it yet.
He's really good. I've never read. I mean, I've seen some of the films based on his other work. Like I think Get Shorty maybe was one of them. But his westerns, I really enjoy him. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
I hate more of his crime books.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
read them, Greg. Are they good? Are they good? Do you get into them as much as I've seemed to get into his westerns? Or
I bought the Library of America box set, which is like 3 volumes of his crime books, and I've made it. I have one more to read in the first volume, and I've liked them all.
Oh, okay.
Because
He did the crime
really
fiction
well-
later. He did the westerns earlier, and then he kind of went towards the crime fiction later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, he kind of changed genres then, as it were.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, Greg.
No. But his crime books are a lot of fun because he does not focus on police, at least the ones that his earlier one. He's people caught up in situations and
Yeah. Very realistic writer.
yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned. Oh, sorry, Jim.
No, go ahead.
It's interesting you mentioned he has like a 3-volume Library of America set for his crime. Does he have Library of America for his Western? He does as well.
Library of America for his Westerns. I don't know if it's all of his Westerns, but.
Wait, look who's come to pay a visit.
Oh, there's
Hello,
Randy.
Randy.
How you doing,
How
mate?
you doing?
We weren't sure if we sent you the link if you wanted to join, but I guess you were probably still under the weather. So we're not. I hope you know that we haven't done it without you. So yeah. Well, my reading. Was that it, Jim? Sorry. Did you have anything else you've read or?
Oh, I was reading like currently I'm reading To Have and Have Not by Ernest Hemingway, which I'm just partway through it. But the beginning kind of threw me off because there's some racial stuff and words in there that kind of in this day and age kind of throw you off a little bit, especially when it's, said by the narrator. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. I've never read this one before, so.
I read it in the 80s,
So you weren't thrown off by the slurs in the 80s.
No, I mean the 80s, and the problem is I can distance myself. I know the book. You can usually tell when the narrator is being a racist or just using the language of the day, or it's the character is a racist and not necessarily Hemingway.
Usually I can distance myself too, Greg, but then this one was just so kind of in your face. Like, the beginning, he's talking about like he threw the N-word in there, like page after page. And then that one character's gone. And then another character, a black character comes in and it's the N-word again. And then there was Chinese characters and he started using the slur for Chinese characters. I'm going, boy, okay, that's a lot, but it
wouldn't surprise me too much though if it was Hemingway's just right.
No. The thing is, like, if I were to pick it up again, I could see Hemingway being a bit of a bigot.
Yeah. Thing is, what do you guys think of Hemingway? Because he's quite divisive, really, on BookTube. You see people like he's not, he's popular with some and really unpopular with others.
Yeah.
I think, go, Jim. Were you saying something?
I haven't really read a lot of them. I've read some of his short stories. I have a book, like a big book of his short stories, and I have a biography that I've been meaning to get to forever of him. So, I mean, I can't really make a judgment on him one way or the other. I know Ernest Hemingway was a huge influence on Raymond Chandler, so I've got that to thank him for. But other than that, not a lot of judgment on him at this point. I'm going to try to read more of them.
Have you liked what you've read generally?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's a good writer. Yeah.
I like his earlier books. I mean, I have read. I'm trying to. I've done Sun Also Rises. I've done A Farewell to Arms. I've done To Have and Have Not, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Old Man and the Sea for his novels.
Yeah.
There's some other novels in between that apparently really, someone says Across the River and Into the Trees is just a real hot mess.
Really? Wow.
And that his writing at that time had become a parody of itself.
Yeah. He had a lot of pressure on himself. He was a Pulitzer Prize winner, and what else?
Nobel Prize. That may have come. That came after Old Man and the Sea, after he was sort of after his peak.
He was 61 when he shot himself. 61 years old.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, like I'm 2 years away from that.
But I prefer his short stories. I think some of his short stories are really masterful.
Yeah, yeah. If a writer can pull off a short story, I think that's brilliant. Like, I love short stories, and if a writer can pull off a short story, I think that's just brilliant. And he is like for instance, Stephen King. I think he's a better short story writer than he is a long novel writer. Even though I love his novels too, but his short stories I just love. And they're tough.
I just like short stories. I really like short stories, and you don't see a lot of them around. I mean, I do a short story every Saturday. I read one aloud, and sometimes I struggle because I don't want to go for too long. Yeah, I mean, because I think it can take maybe an hour to read an average length short story, probably. But you don't see people talking too much about them on BookTube, really, and there's some wonderful collections. Yeah,
it is a shame. There's no venue much anymore for short stories like there used to be. Which is unfortunate.
It was the beginning of a Kurt Vonnegut novel. I think it was where he starts off saying there used to be a living writing short stories.
Yeah,
for an author, but now it's just gone away. And for whatever reason, I think the art of the short story is not what it was. Because when I was in my 20s, I tried writing my own short stories, and back in those days, the big thing was called minimalism. I mean, it's just very pared down short stories, and I was reading like textbooks, and a very famous woman author says she had taken her son to like one of the big stores, and they had those quarter rocking horses. I don't know if anyone remember, like you sit on, and her son got on, it was rocking. She said, oh, there's a short story here. I'm going, no, no, this is not. This is a son writing. It's a very slice of life sort of issue.
I think too that it's an audience thing. Like, I mean, books now and publishers, they want bigger and bigger books because I think the audience feels they want to get their money's worth. And if they're just reading a little novella or a little short book, they just, okay, well, I'm not going to buy that because I'm not going to get my money's worth on it. So they just pad these books out, and the books get bigger and bigger. And I don't know.
Did you ever hear the short horror story?
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Is this the 7-word story that Hemingway?
No, I can't remember who wrote it. It was in 1940 something, I think, and it's something like, what was it? The last man on Earth was sitting at home, and then there was a knock at the door.
Yeah.
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 Of course, these days we would say, well, he's only the last man on earth. It's probably a woman coming to visit him or something like that. But yeah, so it's that's apparently the shortest horror story, and it won some prize for it. So
That's fun. That just opens all kinds of doors.
it does, doesn't it? I mean, if he's the last
Yeah.
person on earth, it would be
Yeah.
pretty scary if there's a knock on the door. Right?
Well, the thing is, with a short story, it has to be the right length for what you're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to pare it right down. There's no bells and whistles. You just got to pare it down and tell a brilliant story.
Well, Hemingway did one that I read
Hills
recently.
Like White Elephants. It's probably
Sorry?
the one that's like a page and a half. Hills Like White Elephants.
Oh, that's not the one. This one was I think it was only about 5 minutes to read. It was something like The Old Man on the Bridge or something like that, and it's set here in the Spanish Civil War. And okay,
I'm doing an Alan. I'm doing an Alan. Hills Like White Elephants. Let's see what we got in here. Snows of Kilimanjaro, Old Man at the Bridge.
that's the one. That's the
Old
one I
Man at the
read.
Bridge.
Mm.
Yeah, I love this book. So yeah, I've read most of these, and he's brilliant. He's a brilliant short story writer. I had
So
Stefan have that handy.
Comments here. Jackie Brown is an Asian adaptation. Yeah, adaptation of Leonard's book Rum Punch. Randy says he would like to join, but can't stop coughing and blowing his nose. Well, we hope you get better soon, mate.
You
Definitely.
get better.
Yeah.
We got next week. We got Holmes. Isn't that next week?
Yeah. Which one? Sorry.
We got Holmes starting next week.
Yeah, we do. We start with that next week. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We've got our guest the week after, so that'll be fun to look forward to.
Oh,
I'm a
good.
big fan of Hemingway. I like him much better than Faulkner for sure. And I was reading short stories by Ryunosuke Akutagawa on my lunch break today. He's a great short story writer. He is. And are you reading Rashomon? I think is maybe they did a nice Penguin Deluxe classic of his.
I've been plotting a video of my five favorite short stories of the 20th century.
Oh,
The stories themselves or collections?
No, just reading the stories.
oh, nice.
Just say these are my 5 favorite short stories. I'm not going to read because usually when you have a short story, there's always a dud or two in a collection. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a brilliant idea for video, Greg. I can't wait to see it. That's awesome.
I was doing something similar, but I was looking at short story collections. But it's so difficult. It's so difficult.
It's very hard to say there's a great collection of short stories because
Well, if it's a great collection of short stories, it's not going to be all by the same author. It's going to be
An anthology of some sort, yeah.
right? Yeah,
That's true.
It's going to pick and choose all the best short stories and put them into a book.
But I was expanding it to include things like essays as well, right? And I have to say, like, George Orwell, for example, does a mean essay.
Oh yeah,
yeah, really good essay writer. Yeah.
So does Raymond Chandler. He did The Simple Art of Murder, that essay, and that's included in one of his anthologies. That's a brilliant essay.
And I made a mistake when I told you I had that same Everyman. I don't.
Oh.
I have Dashiell Hammett's one. I thought I had. So, I'll have to get down the shop at some point and get the Chandler one. So
yeah, that's a good one to have too.
Yeah. But I don't know. I was certain I had it, but no.
I've only got just the one Raymond Chandler one, but they're awesome books. I love those. I wish I had more.
Yeah. What the Everyman library thing books? Yeah, they're really nice. I've got the Orwell complete essays, and it's like, it's a chunkster big time, but it's endlessly entertaining and interesting.
Yeah,
he really. I mean, he writes an essay on how to make a cup of tea, for example. He's just brilliant. Sorry, Greg, you were going to say something.
I talk about the essays. Like, I think I have the essays of Orwell on Kindle or something. At one point, they available for free on the internet, and then they pulled it back. I guess, one of those issues where they thought it was in public domain and it wasn't in public domain. And
I think there's some confusion over one of the people who compiled them, did some editing of them. And because he edited them, his version, I think they're the ones you find maybe with Penguin or somebody. And because of his edits, it changed it. So the copyright was to him, not to Orwell. So they weren't actually in the public domain. However, if the works released originally untampered with, would be in the public domain. So it's one of those tricky issues. Kevin's here. Hi, Kevin. I've been reading sporadically the stories of John Cheever.
He has a few good ones.
I just think of him with his love affair with George Costanza's potential father-in-law, if I remember rightly, on Seinfeld. Yes, okay. Rashomon, good. Aaron towing the line here with Mr. Standfast. Orwell was a better essayist than he was a novelist. And Kevin says, Jack London, Edgar Allan Poe, Mark Twain, great short stories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I agree.
How about Arthurian literature?
I'm just reading this now, actually, just Le Morte d'Arthur. And I mean, I love Arthurian stuff.
You see, I have one of the what edition do I have of that? Hold on.
I don't have that, but I do have something else. See, we can all get up and just go through our libraries.
We'll all do an Alan, right? This is my.
Yes. Nice.
Now this has some nice illustrations, I think. Now, my one issue with this is that it is modern edited.
Oh,
well, like it translated, or
if you see an original Mallory, you look at it and the spelling is all different. It's just
yeah. This one I have is a new rendition by Keith Baines, but I do have a Wordsworth classic, which I think probably is more closer to the older English.
Right. Now, how much of that is really important? I mean, I think at the point he was writing, it's essentially modern English. They just hadn't solidified how to spell words or the grammar, but I've never read it.
Well, I haven't got Mallory in Arthurian literature, but I do have Steinbeck. The Acts of Arthur and His Noble Knights. Have you guys read this? Or
no?
I had it on my shelf. I don't know if I still do, but I never read it.
Okay.
And I do have a Howard Pyle one too.
Howard Pyle, brilliant.
Yeah,
I thought he did Robin Hood.
And he did Robin Hood and King Arthur. Arthur and his Knights. Awesome books.
Yeah, I've got his ebook, Delphi. You know, those Delphi collections. I've got Howard Pyle, one of those. So it's really good.
Did you guys? Tomorrow there's a new show, Shogun, coming out. New adaptation of Shogun. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I saw the trailer. It looked quite good, actually.
It really did. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I mean, I love that book and the original miniseries. I mean, that was just so good. I don't know how you can top it, but I mean, we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too excited about it because I have no idea, of course, when it will come out here. And I mean, what is it on telly over there, or is it on one of the streamers?
On one of the streaming sites, I think. I'm assuming I can get it. It's an FX produced series, so I mean, it might be on one of the streaming sites we have, but I'm not too sure. I mean, I still haven't seen 1883 because it's on the Paramount Plus streaming, and I don't, I'm not going to subscribe to another freaking streaming site. I'm already on enough of them.
I'm only on Amazon Prime.
I'm considering that, just getting rid of them all except Amazon Prime and YouTube, of course. But you don't really watch anything, Greg, though, do you? Really?
Well, there's some older movies that I'm very tempted to watch, but the day always filled up with something else rather than sitting down and watching a movie. And
Yeah,
And now Amazon apparently is going to start inserting ads into their movies.
I heard that. Awful.
And I'm just not going to be very tolerant of sitting through a bunch
We
of
we
ads.
we pay for streaming services so we don't have to sit through commercials. That's the whole point, you know.
Right. But I guess their point is you're paying for a Prime, and the film are bonuses that you get, and you're saying now you gotta pay for that bonus.
Yeah, but then they're saying they're removing the free shipping and stuff from Prime as well. You know.
Really?
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know. In England, I
I
heard something about it. So,
I
or was it
signed on to
next day
Prime.
shipping? I don't know.
I signed on to Prime for the movies, not for the shipping. So
Hmm.
yeah, that was just a bonus for me, you know.
See, for me, it was a case of the movies were pretty poor for me here actually, because I could get Prime in Germany, but I would sign up to like the international Prime movies. It was a bit better because the German ones, they annoyingly even had, without the option to change it to original language, some older shows like, I don't know, the A Team for example was
Yeah.
just dubbed into German, and they didn't even have the ability for me to turn it off. And I was thinking, well, this is rubbish. And then, of
Oh,
course, because it's Germany, and this I just don't get, is they allow you to buy Prime, but you don't get the Prime shipping with them to the Czech Republic, even though one of their biggest distribution centers in Europe is here, and you know they offer the same value to Austria, which there's no difference. I mean, there's no difference in terms of geography whether they deliver to Czech Republic or Austria. So in the end, it just wasn't worth it. Although it was cheap. It was probably like $3 a month for the
yeah.
international Prime Video, whatever it was called. But no, I mean, here we have something called Sky Showtime, which is like a mashup of the British Sky broadcasting company and the US one, Showtime. And they include Paramount Plus and something called Peacock, which I never saw, and some other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that's good. At least they've kind of collated them together. But I get very annoyed when I'm flipping through, I don't know, HBO or something. Well, maybe not HBO, but something else. And then I flip through Netflix and I see the same stuff. Because I'm thinking, you know, that annoys me, because you feel you're paying for it, and then suddenly, you know, this film's on one or two or three streaming services that you're subscribed to, and you think, oh, and then there's so many things not out there. Like it's quite hard to find. Maybe in North America it's different, but like it's quite hard for me to find something like Gone with the Wind, for example, if I wanted to watch it.
Oh, that's
Probably a bad choice, but
that's
you
a
know what I
whole
mean.
No, I love Gone with the Wind, but that's a whole thing with me too, because I like westerns. I love watching old
Hmm.
westerns.
Hmm.
But if I go on any of my streaming sites, there's only a very few number of westerns. If I want to watch my favorite ones and the best westerns, I've got to subscribe to MGM Grand
Uh-huh.
streaming site or something like that, you know. And any British crime movies, I have to sign up for like Acorn TV or um, I think there's a couple of them. But yeah, no, I mean, there's so many things I want to watch, and that's the frustrating part. I sign up for Netflix, Crave, Amazon Prime, and a couple, you know, one or two others maybe, and none of the stuff that I want to see is on any of them.
Yeah.
I remember that. I mean, one of the ones I wanted to watch was Young Frankenstein,
Oh, awesome movie.
and it was like not on Netflix or something. It's like
Yeah.
they're very good about pumping out the new movies, getting those
Yeah.
on.
Which
The
I have
older
no
one,
interest in half the time.
I'm sorry. It's like modern American movies. I'm sorry, they're just not
Yeah,
worth my time.
yeah, I agree. And I find with Netflix is they do a lot of these short series now, like a little 8 episode TV series. But the thing is, they tell the story in 8 episodes that they could have told better in like 2 episodes. And
Mm.
they just drag it out and draw it out and just pad it with all this shit instead of just, you know, telling a good story in either one good 2 hour movie or maybe even a 4 episode series, you know. And they're just garbage. They're honestly the worst things on TV. These these shows
I would say, Jim, you can get a lot of westerns actually on YouTube.
on YouTube.
Hmm.
Oh,
I'll send you some links. But it might depend. I mean, sometimes. So, for example, sometimes some British, like, what do you call them? Well, just TV shows. They're not dramas. They're nothing. Just maybe panel shows or whatever. I can watch on YouTube, but they're not shown. They're blocked in the region of the UK, right? Because I guess copyright or whatever. So maybe it's the case. I don't know. In North America, you might not be able to see them, but there are some channels that have some, either old reruns of, like, I don't know, The Lone Ranger and stuff, but also some well-known, westerns and Western B movies, and there's loads of them on YouTube. Yeah, I'll send you.
That's normally not something I'd think of to go look for movies, but no, that's I'll check that out. Because honestly, they're hard to find, and you want to just sit. So I ended up just buying a whole bunch of DVDs. Like, I collect a lot of DVDs, and they're all westerns because you can't find them anywhere else. But I'll keep that in mind. There's a couple of good channels. There's like Pizza Flicks and a couple I follow where they show a lot of the old movies, but a lot of them are great B flicks and flicks that really nobody really is looking for to watch. But some of them are kind of kitschy, and some old TV shows and stuff too. But the
best place I found to watch old movies, and I don't know, you might not be able to access it from there because obviously I'm geographically in the sphere, is there's like there was something called VK, which was like a Russian Facebook, and there's another Russian Facebook as well called maybe OK, I think. And if you look up old films here, like, where to watch them, it often links back to this site in Russia. And the funny thing is, they don't dub them, there's no subtitles or anything, but they really list loads of, like, great films from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. And I was like a kid in the proverbial candy store. I was like, what? They've got that on there? They've got that? I haven't seen that in years. Oh my God. So it's like, oh.
Yeah. So, and they're all in English. They're
all in English. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I think probably a lot of people who upload this stuff, I guess, of course, illegally, do it through somewhere like this Russian place because it's, internationally a bit of a pariah, right? So the FBI can't really go storming in there and close them down. So, it's probably some people in America are hosting it over there because they know it will be safe, really. So I don't know.
Well, my son tells me my son tells me to go and what does he call it? Not streaming them, but he has links and he has websites that he goes to, torrent sites.
Oh yeah, those.
He goes and he does that, and I think I tried that years ago on his recommendation, and I think I got some bad virus on my computer. So
you got to be careful, and of course it's illegal as well. So
and it's illegal too. Yeah, so I stopped doing that. I said, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. My son, you go ahead.
I'm not going to do that anymore. Yeah, that's what people say, right? But you just reminded me there with the whole gesture thing. Is like in Bulgaria, they shake their heads for yes and nod their heads for no. Yeah, it's really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're like, no, absolutely not. Do you want to go out on Saturday? Yes, I do. So, what do we got? We got a few more comments here. Kevin's currently reading East of Eden by Steinbeck. Mark, 300 pages in and really enjoying it so far. It's wonderful. Nice. Aaron, following the footsteps of great English seafarers like Sir Francis Drake, I sail the high seas for my viewing pleasure. Aaron, Gringo Western Movies is a great channel on YouTube. I believe it's all above board when it comes to copyright. Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay. So, is that how it's spelled, Aaron? GRJNGO?
It might be.
Okay.
I'm sure Aaron will let us know. I'll put it up. But what have I read? Well, as I said, I haven't really moved on, but I finished the only book I finished, the second book I finished this year. I don't think I mentioned it last week because I hadn't finished it. Was this Lives of Ancient Egyptians by Toby
I've
Wilkinson?
seen you talk about that. I thought.
Yeah, I think I said I was reading it, but now
Right.
I've actually finished it, so that's good. And in terms of still reading, of course, I'm still reading War and Peace. Now about 500 pages in, but love it. Absolutely love it.
Is your
Brilliant
first
book.
read, Mark?
First read for me, yeah. Yeah, first read for
Every-
me.
Everybody who reads that loves that book. I've never read it. I'm going to have to read it.
I would really recommend it. It's
Yeah.
just it's a world on its own. It's a pleasure. It is a pleasure. You can get lost in it. When I pick it up, I read it for ages. The problem is obviously I think I would have been better off just devoting all my time to it because I do have to put it down at times, and I've got 2 other books on the go, which are one's for this Black Hearts Book Club, which is the second part of the most disturbing book I read that I mentioned before. It's the Swedish mystery in the 18th century, which is really good actually, although still quite dark and grim.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I like The Wolf and the Watchman.
Oh, I liked it. I really liked it, but I think, as I mentioned, it was just the whole. It was not traumatizing, but it was very disturbing to me because I can't think of almost anything worse. I cannot imagine what that poor person went through. That's what really got me. I think
Okay,
half
Mark?
the time.
Johnny got his gun. Dalton Trumbo.
Yes, it's on the list. It's on the list. It's a little less graphic.
Mark, that's why I can't watch like true crime shows because it's too like I could just start trying to. You're thinking about what that person went through, and
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, I think I can take it when it's a straightforward killing, or even if it lasts a couple of minutes or whatever, Whereas this was pretty harsh. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. For me, I obviously Greg's a seasoned.
He's a grizzled veteran.
Gruesome Greg over there. He's not got a problem.
The problem is most of these things in these stories are not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're gruesome, but that's not really like killer animal books. No one is ever going to be eaten by killer slugs.
Well, I read a book because of Ollie was doing his disturbing book thing, and I said, okay, I'm going to try this, and I'll try a disturbing book. And I read the Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. Now it was a fictionalized account of a true story,
right?
Right, and reading what that poor girl went through and what that awful woman and I just that was a disturbing book to me. And I kind of wish I hadn't read it because it's one of those things that just, takes up rent in the back of your head, one of those kind of things. And
this did a bit with me. I was thinking about it for ages because, as I said, I enjoyed it. I thought the story was great. Just the thing, I was like, oh, that's harsh. And there's some pretty grim parts in the sequel as well. The other 2 I'm reading both Historathon. One's about the Persians by a guy called Lloyd Llewellyn Jones. It's Welsh academic, but it's very, very interesting, very readable. And the other is Lost Cities of the Ancient World, which is similar to that Egyptians book, and it's published by the same company. And it's again little vignettes of these cities, but the first one fascinated me. It's a place in Turkey, and it's I think it predates agriculture. Yeah, the settling of this city, and it goes against normal conventions because the convention was, humanity discovered agriculture, they settled down, they built settlements which became towns, cities, or whatever. And this one predates that, so they actually built this city. Well, I say that, but actually at its height, it had maybe 10,000 people living there, right? In an area that just had a plethora of food, like a huge amount of food naturally. So they didn't have to go very far. But they built these houses without any streets or roads or anything, and just right next to each other. And so they're above ground, but the only way you can access them was through the roof. And they're all the same, pretty much all the same kind of size. So it's very egalitarian. There's no like palace. It doesn't seem anyone was a leader or anything like that. And then the weirdest thing of all is they buried their dead in under the house. And so like, you know, you're living on top of previous generations basically that have been buried there before you. So it's weird, but it's just fascinating looking at how these cities and things came into being and stuff.
Some of these cultures, I mean, there's a culture that once your parents or your grandparents die, you basically set them up in your house and you treat them like they're still alive. And in the meantime, you know, the body's laying there mummifying, and you're treating it like it's like they're still around, you know, and that's kind of disturbing, but that's their culture and that's normal for them. That's what they do.
I suppose we could kind of do that now with AI, though, really, couldn't we? We could just get everybody to, you know, record stuff, get their AI avatar up, and then it'd be like they've never left. Almost, you could just say,
"Oh,
Granddad,
well, your face," and
what's even better is
Granddad, tell me about the war. Sorry, Greg, I talked over you.
When they get annoying, you just turn them off.
That's it. You know. Yeah. It'd be great, you know. You could sit down and say, "Hey, Granddad, tell me about the war again." You know, but
hey, that's where we're going as a society, pretty much.
And then I picked up a book today because, you know, I've been doing this getting library books for school, right? And I thought I would be the guinea pig for one of the first. So I borrowed a book that I got myself.
That was a good video, by the way.
Honestly, they were so happy. I really wish I could have filmed their little faces. Bless them.
I guess parents might object if you're showing their kids on YouTube.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, we're quite here. It's not that bad a thing. Like, I mean, the kids appear on like the Facebook page and stuff like that. But
better to be safe. Better to be safe.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to, just in case, because then, I mean, okay, I mean, I'm sure all my viewers are fine, but you know, we don't really know who's watching.
You don't know who's going to watch.
Especially in light of, you know, that guy in Washington. Yeah,
I never followed him, thank God.
No,
I didn't follow him. No.
You know the one I mean.
Yeah, no. It was an SF channel. I had watched some of his videos and followed him for a while, but then
fit to be read. That's right, because I used to think it was fit to bread. So, but yeah, so you know, I'm glad I didn't. But
the problem is, no one's going to blame you for subscribing to a normal channel and then discovering.
Yeah, of course, because we don't know. You know, you don't know what I do the moment the camera's off. I don't know what you two get up to.
But the thing is, guys,
we know what Jim gets up to the moment the camera's off. He starts drawing naked women caricatures, but you know,
you don't know about the bodies and my wait a second.
Oh, oops, yeah.
He was an exception to the rule. You know,
yeah.
I mean, I find most people who read or into books. I mean, they're decent people. You know, you can't like you can't help but be more of a self-aware person and a decent person if you're a reader. I think, you know.
I don't know. Stalin was a reader.
Oh well, yeah. You know, there's always an exception, right?
But anyway, what the book I borrowed from the school library is one that I'm really excited to have a look through at the weekend, and it's because I've never been a reader of graphic novels, but this is actually a history of Japan done in manga.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, and it looks it. I mean, it's got like, you know, kind of textbooky stuff to it, but then for each kind of you know, story, there is like the manga and stuff to go with it. So it looks at different areas of Japanese history, and it's a translated work. It was actually, because I remember when I was living there, they used manga a lot as textbooks. Yeah, so they would have manga about the lives of, I don't know, great composers, explorers, different periods in history, and it's such a great idea for something like history, because kids so often think it's boring these days, sadly. And when you can produce something like that, even when it's like little bite-sized chunks and things on maps, I don't know, I just think they'll get interested in it. And I wish I could just get a whole set. I was almost tempted to ask you, Jim, to we'll just make our own one. I'll do the writing and you do the drawing.
Well, I should be doing something like that. I've attempted it a few times, but I mean, that's a perfect way to get a kid into reading, honestly.
Sure,
I mean, probably when I started, it was with comic books, and that's how you just get a kid interested in it. And I think that's that book there you just had right there. That's perfect.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what, for me, it wasn't like comic books. I don't know if you guys read them, but it was things like Tintin and Lucky Luke and these things.
Rupert the Bear.
Rupert the Bear, yeah, exactly. Rupert the Bear, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Asterix and Obelix.
Asterix and Obelix, exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah. Lucky. I think that you didn't get Lucky Luke in America. I think, Greg, probably not.
No, Lucky Luke.
Maybe Canada, yes, probably, but it was a French one. He was a cowboy, and he was a very thin cowboy. He used to have this long, thin cigarette hanging over his mouth. And
that image sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, but they were brilliant.
I may have seen images in a textbook or somewhere about that, but not the
actual. You'd know to see him, Greg. Almost guaranteed, if you saw a picture of him, you'd probably know, oh, yeah, I know that character.
Well, we can see a picture, of course, because I forget that we are able to share stuff, right? So
that's true.
Let me just share it. So present, share screen. Which one is it? Lucky Luke. Okay. Share.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this guy. This dude.
I've seen that image before.
Yeah.
And he's smoking, isn't he? Or is he just got a
I think in this one he's often smoking, but probably they've changed him now. But when I was a kid, he was smoking for sure. I'm sure he was smoking when I was a kid. Yeah.
Well, no one cared back then.
There he is. There he's smoking. There, you see. But I bet you, these days he wouldn't be smoking. That's probably why he's chewing on the bit of hay or whatever. Because of course it's can't show cigarettes to kids. So rightly so, to be honest, probably.
What happened to Jim?
I don't know. We lost him. He's done a runner. Hopefully he'll be back. But yeah, so we'll go through some of the comments anyway. Although they are kind of for Jim, I guess, because that is how Gringo is spelt. Kevin says, fell in love with Natasha and Pierre and War and Peace. Russian authors are the best. Maria, hi Maria's got a recommendation. DK Classics have 5 different channels with old movies on YouTube. Aaron says Artflix is another channel which has mostly older B movies. There's also a channel called Moss Films. Yes. In fact, I think you can see the War and Peace series on there. Kelly. Hi, Jenny. Hi, everyone. I'm counting on a good AI upload of my consciousness so I can annoy my grandchildren. Well, there you go. Exactly right. That's what it's there for. That reminds me of the Talking Tombstones from Jeffrey Barnard is unwell. Even from beyond the grave, your wife can argue with you. So there you go. Jim's back.
You broke the internet. What happened?
I broke the internet? You're the one who did a runner.
No. As soon as you put the picture up, I think you guys just dropped off.
No. Oh.
He was there for a little while. And then when you shut the picture of Lucky Luke, then Jim dropped off as well.
Well, he's not so lucky then, Luke.
Kelly. Oh, by the way, sorry, Jim. It is how it's spelt. Gringo with a J instead of an I.
Good,
Yeah.
thanks.
And they also recommended 2 others for you: Art Flicks and one called DK Classics.
DK Classics. I'm going to write those down.
Yeah.
I'm going to look for those. Thank you.
No, no worries. I survived watching all the biscuit eating. Mark, have you read The Eighth Life? I finally finished it. My first exposure to an Eastern European saga. No, I haven't read The Eighth Life.
Isn't that a huge book?
I've heard of it. Is it Georgian?
Georgian or something. It's like 800,000 pages, I think.
I think Summer read it, and she was telling me about it maybe last year from read.
I might actually have that on my Amazon list of books to maybe buy someday.
Mark, we all know what you do when the camera turns off. You get in your rugby kit and then you rugby tackle unsuspecting Czechs while singing Jerusalem. Yeah, how did you know? That's exactly what I get up to. Lucky Luke and his forever enemies, the Dalton brothers. Yeah. And Grandma. Ma Dalton as well, yeah. They were brilliant comics. They were brilliant. Sean's here. Hey, Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
I forgot this was on. Been reading. What have you been reading, Sean?
944 pages for Eighth Life.
944?
Yeah.
Well, it's nothing compared to War and Peace, so that'd be easy. I need to check that out. I've heard only good things about it. It reminds me while Sean is here to just do a little plug. Him and I will be doing a live tomorrow afternoon. So that will be first time in a long time. Yeah, be nice. See catch up with how he's getting on after the move and stuff.
I'll try to drop in on it if I can.
I think it's probably quite early for you guys, maybe like 9 or something.
I don't know. At 10 a.m. where I am, I think, which isn't bad. But we'll see.
Bad. Saturday morning, bit of coffee.
Yeah.
Orange juice, whatever.
Perfect.
The Rise of Endymion. Oh, is that in the Hyperion?
Yeah, that's Dan Simmons.
I really want to read his The Terror. I've had it on my Kindle for ages, and I haven't got.
It's a really good. I mean, I've mentioned that numerous times in videos on certain stuff. It's just
my wife's actually reading a Dan Simmons right now. I forget the name of it. It's about a haunted house, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I heard Dan Simmons, because he did The Terror. That's right. And that's, I want to read that.
So it could be a buddy read, Jim. You and me, we could read The Terror.
Oh, I would do that.
Would you be up for rereading it at some point, Greg, or have you read it enough?
It's something that I eventually do want to reread.
That could be second half of the year.
I'm looking at all my commitments for the year, and it's like
BookTube prize.
Oh boy!
Right, BookTube prize is coming up. Fortunately, my guess is on the BookTube prize, I'm going to get nonfiction, just because there's probably not enough, and I've reserved all my audio space for the BookTube prize in February. So
when do you find that out, Greg? I thought you would have found out
on Friday. Not Friday. February 1st.
Oh,
no, Thursday. Next Thursday. Yeah. Well, Sean, you can read it with us if you want. Probably if we do it sometime second half of the year.
Maybe I could be up for second half of the Terror. Second half of the year in the Terror. Now, has anyone ever read The Song of Kali by Dan Simmons? That's his first novel.
Never read any Dan Simmons, so
no, me neither.
Really good horror novel set in a lot of it in Calcutta.
Mm-hmm.
Back when it was written, which I think is late 70s, early 80s. And
so he's been around quite a while, is he?
Oh yeah, he's I think it's mid to late 70s.
Okay.
I know he hasn't published a book in many years, and I sort of get the idea is that he may be at that age stage where it's not easy to write anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. some people can write well into their 70s and 80s, but
Mm.
don't know.
That's what my wife's reading right now. A Winter Haunting.
Oh, Winter Haunting. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the sequel to one of his books.
And she's really, really enjoying it so far. So I'm gonna have to check him out. I've never read him before.
Yeah, well, the first part of that is Summer of Night.
I think it says on the front, actually. Yeah.
A sequel. I think it's a sequel to A Summer of Night.
Author of Summer of Night. Yeah. And there's the there's his list.
Oh, the
Yep.
Song of Kali. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So he's written quite a few by the looks of it.
He has.
But
Yeah.
it's pretty good that he's, swapping genres like that, and obviously
Well,
successfully.
He has done horror, science fiction, crime, and adventure.
Wow.
Mhm.
He has one novel which features Ernest Hemingway as a character.
Nice.
It was actually a fun book. I mean, it's not the real Ernest Hemingway, but you could imagine Ernest Hemingway being the adventuresome man that he was portrayed in the novel.
I like when they do that in books when authors use other writers as their characters. I think that's kind of cool. Because
Yeah,
I remember Sean telling me about something like that he said I would enjoy. And maybe if you're still there, Sean, you can remind me. Unless one of you got, was he uses Burton? I think someone uses Burton as a character.
Yeah, well, Philip Jose Farmer.
That's
used
it.
him in the
That's
Riverboat.
it. That's what I'm thinking of.
Excellent.
That's
series.
another great series.
Yeah, that's what got me into actually Richard Francis Burton, and I read that series, and I just snagged them all up wherever I could find them, and I said, this guy, I love this person, this historical figure, and that's when I got interested in the man himself. A great
And
series of books.
It's science fiction, or it's
Science
Yeah.
fiction. I mean, it's not fantasy, but it's not. Well,
Yeah, it's hard to peg. Like Philip Jose Farmer is one of those writers. I mean, I guess you could categorize it as science fiction, but I mean, it's just a fascinating idea. Like, just everybody who's ever lived lives along this river.
when you die, you get reborn onto this river.
Yeah, and yeah, anybody who's out there right now, I highly recommend that series, man. That's such a good series.
And I've only read the first book of that series.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I was going to say something else that happened in one of the later books, so I'm actually not going to say it because I really don't want to spoil it for anybody. So well done.
I'll have to
You
give
really
it a
get
go.
into Richard Francis Burton's head in that story, because
Okay.
it's told from his point of view, pretty much.
It is. I'd actually just read or listened to an audiobook biography of his, not of it, about him.
Yeah,
I just go into that biography and say, what an amazing life he had. And then I read that book a year or two later, and
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, he didn't even live to a ripe old age, though, did he? I think he
50s,
was.
He lived to an old man. Yeah. Well,
Was
I
he?
guess maybe 70s, maybe in his.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I thought he was only in his 60s. I don't know,
M-
but because I
maybe
thought he
60s.
did so much.
Yeah.
I have to check now. Maybe I'm misremembering. But I know. Well, she outlived him, didn't she? Because she destroyed a lot of his.
Oh, he translated one of the Arabic naughty books, and she got so offended.
Yeah. Well, he lived quite the life too. Like he experienced life to the fullest,
Yeah.
He did the Kama Sutra, didn't he?
he journaled everything that he experienced. So I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of stuff that never came, out, and she just destroyed it all because it was a Victorian age. But I'm trying to see how old he
69.
was.
He was 69.
69,
So.
which back then wasn't bad.
Not bad,
You know?
and given the life he led, I mean, considering the things he went through. Ow! Have you seen the film Mountains of the Moon, Jim? You'd probably really like that.
Years ago, I saw that movie. Yeah.
I have the novel based. That was the basis for that.
Yeah.
I want to read that. I mean, just because he's just sounds so fascinating. What is that book called again? Mount. I have it on my shelf. Oh, here it is.
Mountains of
That
the
was
Moon.
about the search for the
Yeah.
source of the Nile.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would have fit with the River of Gods.
Yeah.
There's a whole story involving him and Hanning or Speak. Like Speak said he discovered it, and Richard Burton said he discovered it, and there was a whole drama involved once they got back to the England, and yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there with those two.
Well,
know,
according to Candace Millard, Speak was the first one to see it. I mean,
Yeah,
he was under Burton's orders, like go look over that mountain or whatever, and then he found it. So you have to give Burton some credit because it was his expedition.
yeah.
But
to be honest, unfortunately, Speak does come across as a bit of an arse, though. That's the thing.
Little bit.
You know, I mean, Burton's very, I got the feeling it took a lot to really piss off Burton, and Speak did his utmost to do it, really.
Well, Burton, I'm sure he was an arrogant man too.
Oh,
yeah.
But he had good reason to be, because he was a very smart man. But there was a whole they were going to debate. It was going to go to a debate between Speak and Burton as to who actually discovered the source of the Nile. And then just the day before it was supposed to go into some hearing or something, Speak died.
Wow.
And there was kind of
Killed himself.
Well, yeah, there was a question, like he killed himself or something like that, or I forget exactly how he
It was
died.
either an accident, a shooting accident, or he shot himself. Yeah.
It was very coincidentally the day before the hearing as to who discovered the source of the Nile. But it's a fascinating story. Everything about it is just wow.
Yeah.
It's like
exactly as Sean says, he didn't believe that the lake was the source.
Yeah.
But I actually read a modern book by an English explorer called Levison Wood, and he what's it called? Maybe it's called Along the Nile or something. And that's excellent if you get a chance to read it.
Is he the guy who retread the journey that Hanning and Speak, or Burton and Speak took?
Not quite, because he actually starts at this. No, I can never remember, because you have the two types of Nile, don't you?
The White Nile and the Blue
White
Nile.
Nile and the Blue Nile, and he actually starts, I want to say, somewhere in Burundi or somewhere, and literally it is like a puddle where the actual source of whatever part of it is, and he starts and he walks the entire length all the way up through, like, Darfur and all these, completely. But it's brilliant. It's really good. And I think they televised it as well, or at least he made a television show from it. But I read it as a book, and found it very, very, very readable. And I've read quite a few of his books since, because he's pretty good at.
Did you read that book, Greg?
The one he's talking about? No, I've only read The River of Gods by Candace Millard,
but the one you held up.
No, I have not. This is just something I picked up, used somewhere.
Yeah, I want to find that one too.
I'm sure it's out of print. I don't even think they have a Kindle version of it.
Yeah, it's hard to find. But
yeah,
but Jim, if you need a copy, I'm pretty sure I know someone who can find one for you.
Okay,
at least an e-copy. So
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Well, you kind of got me into ebooks, kind of inadvertently, but usually I look for the physical books. But yeah,
Well, I mean, for me, sometimes it is just needs must. I mean, I can get a lot more books, but I would have to get them from things like eBay or something, and then I'm opening myself up to sometimes maybe having to pay more than the book's worth, really, through customs duties and all this stuff. So I have to rely now on especially older stuff. It's just not worth it for me. But let's go through a couple of comments here. Sean says one of his River World short stories, JC on the Dude Ranch. JC is Jesus. The Spaminator is here. Hello, Spaminator.
Hello.
And there's conversations between each others. Wasn't proven. I guess this is the source. Wasn't proven until the 20th century, I believe.
Yeah, it was under contention for the longest time.
That person can't find Jack. Take my word for it. I don't know. Maybe that's in relation to because Jenny and the Spaminator are having a little conversation there on the side. So, yeah. So there we have it. And what's up for this week, Greg? Have you got anything like? Well, obviously you have lined up to read over the I don't know, over the weekend or through the course of the week.
I'm finishing up this book, Dreaming Jewels by Theodore Sturgeon. It's okay. It's nothing to. I thought it was going to be a horror novel, but it's sort of a science fiction novel or something in between. Have you ever read one of those books where you think the author is just writing a story and not knowing where he's going with it?
Yeah.
That's sort of.
But you hate to cram it into a genre too, you know.
I do, but it starts off really fun. I'll read you the first paragraph and tell me if you want to read it.
Yeah.
They caught the kid doing something disgusting out under the bleachers at the high school stadium, and he was sent home from the grammar school across the street. He was 8 years old then, and he'd been doing it for years.
Oh boy, those meddling kids.
You want to know what he's doing that was disgusting, don't you?
Well, I had an idea, but if he's 8 years old and he's been doing it for years, I don't think it's what I was thinking of. But
you gotta. The problem is, it's a great opening.
So my thought is that he's like he has an animal or something. He's torturing an animal or something like that. That would be my thought. You know.
Do you want to know what he was doing?
I do, yeah. But let's just give a warning. If anyone doesn't want to know what he's doing,
hold your ears.
Yeah, plug your ears. Exactly. Okay.
Eating bugs.
Oh, well, who hasn't?
Kids will eat bugs, man. Kids will put anything in their mouth at a certain age because they're teething, and you gotta. My kid picked up a mouse one time. He was ready to put it in his mouth. I had to leap, those slow motion leap. No, and stop him from eating a mouse, a dead mouse.
Oh, dead mouse. Yeah, I was going to say, blimey.
Well, yeah. But
oh dear. Well, that sounds interesting. Have you finished the Bhagavad Gita? Or?
No, I have. I have it on my desk, and every day I say I got to finish my last 4 chapters. And
I say you look like you're near the end. So
yeah, I'm at page 165, and you got all that, and I got to 124. So really, it's just. Well, one of the things you're going to find out is there is a new family member in this house.
Was that the meowing I heard earlier? Or?
Well, yeah, the new family member does meow. So she will be showing up in a new video sooner or later. But she's young and kind of hard to. She doesn't hold still very long.
Does that make 4 of them now, Greg?
4, yeah. Well, she was a give up from one of my wife's friends who had a mama cat, and the mama cat had kittens, and she was gonna keep one of the kittens, but I guess they don't get along with her cats. But she's fine with ours, so.
Well, that's nice. So she's quite small now, still, or
she's 5, going on 6 months. So.
Some comments. Dallas is here. Hey, Dallas. Good to see you.
Hey, Dallas.
See you. The Spaminator is currently working his way through all the Ray Bradbury on their shelves. Not a dull moment so far. Bradbury, anyone. And Jenny says, good source of protein. I don't know if she means Bradbury or bugs.
I think she's talking about the eating of the bugs.
Well, I just like it when he's like, Bradbury, anyone. And then Jenny's like, good source of protein.
I love
Dallas,
Bradbury.
Dallas asks, any talk about mysteries? Today I'm wondering about John D. McDonald's Travis McGee stories. I don't know anything
Oh.
about them. Do
I
you
read
guys?
two.
Ask me, Dallas. What do you want to know?
There you go. So we've got a resident expert in Dallas. So
Well, I've
formulate
read a
your
few.
question.
Greg said he's read a couple. I've got most of them on my shelf, and I've read most of them, but not for a while. It's been a while.
I've never read any, so I can't help.
They're fun. I mean, they're not really powerful mysteries. They're just
No.
if you want your brain to rest by reading,
Yeah.
they're really, at least the two that I read were really good for that.
They're easygoing, you know. He's a salvage expert, he calls himself, but he solves people's problems,
Mhm.
and it's usually a woman or a waif that he has to kind of protect or you know, um, go after her ex-husband or something like that, and there's always something. A crime involved somehow or other. He's like a private investigator, but he's not officially a private investigator. He calls himself a salvage expert, and he owns a boat called the Busted Flush, and that's where he lives, on this boat. So it's kind of a
It sounds like
easygoing
fun.
lifestyle. Yeah,
Sounds
Like you got a nice cowgirl on the cover of this one.
yeah, nice paperbacks. Robert McGinnis covers.
Yep, got another one. Hold on, another redhead. And another lady in a bikini, you know.
Mhm.
So I mean, I like you said, I just love these old covers.
Me too.
They don't make them like that anymore.
No, they wouldn't be allowed to now.
No,
But yeah, they're awesome.
Spaminator says, "Look, I came from humble beginnings. Bug eating was a given."
Hey, in the future, that's what we'll all be eating. Just saying.
Well, they've mentioned that you can grow some sort of grub really fast, and they're apparently good for protein.
Yeah. You can make flour out of like grasshoppers or something like that. You make flour to make bread and stuff like that. And that'll be our only food source in the far future. Maybe
Well,
not so far.
I read a nonfiction book about the eating of insects. It was sort of like cross between cookbook and just describing it. And it's like if you go down in Mexico, like really deep South Mexico, they have like food trucks where they serve fried grasshoppers. You come up and they go like,
Yeah. They're chocolate covered grasshoppers, stuff like that. Apparently people love those things. I don't know if
we have a food festival here every year, and I've chowed down on the grasshoppers. I've chowed down on the mealworms.
Have you?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine.
It doesn't bother me so much. Like people's, they go ooh against something, but think about it. You're eating animals anyway.
right.
Well, I mean, some of the other, like, a lot of people have eaten snails, and a snail is more disgusting, even the texture of it, of course, than a mealworm. Or
the thing is, if you put a snail in garlic butter sauce,
it just tastes like a garlic. And it's the same with these, these mealworm things. They sold them in all sorts of different flavors. Some of them had like powdered cheese on them. Some had powdered curry. Some, and I actually bought a packet and took it to school. And I thought it'd be fun to do it, let the kids try it and stuff. And they were loving it. And some of them were like, "Can we have some more?" I said, "Yeah." And I just like you, Jim, I was like, "Well, yeah, get used to it because you'll probably be eating it in your old age." So
yeah, I think kids are more open to that too than us old people.
Yeah, I mean, it's
well, the young people are realizing that eating beef is really not good for the environment. It's very destructive.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
In ways you wouldn't expect.
But I don't really eat it anymore anyway. Just I find it, I don't know, very occasionally. Maybe if I'm somewhere and I know they've got like a really good burger, I might be tempted. But I find even these days, if I have a burger, it's a chicken burger. I mean, I feel sorry for the chickens, of course, but I just prefer the white meats. I eat turkey, chicken, maybe pork on occasion if it's like ribs or something. If I'm in the pub and they have pork ribs or something. But mostly it's just poultry for me now. I just can't. I don't know. I can't explain it. I mean, I used to love beef and stuff, but now I just find it's like too heavy on me and too.
Yeah.
Just feel like,
Like if we go out to a fast food like Harvey's or something, I'll get a burger, and my wife will get like a buffalo chicken wrap, and she'll give me a taste. And I said, you know what, that tastes better than my burger. You know,
yeah.
so it just I'm almost trained to just go to a fast food joint and buy a burger instead of trying something
Right.
different.
But even the chicken burgers, I mean, wasn't long ago I had one. We have a small burger joint here, and you know, their beef ones were all right, but they did a few months ago this chicken avocado burger or whatever, and it was really delicious. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
more delicious than any of the beef ones, and you feel better after eating it as well. You don't feel so.
Oh yeah.
You know, with
Yeah.
beef sometimes you can just get, I don't know. I think it isn't that good for you though, is it? Because they always say like it takes you longer to digest maybe it's an old wives' tale, I don't know, but to digest red meat than white meat, and I don't know.
I can believe that. I could believe that.
Yeah.
It's like
Um,
tacos. Like I actually prefer chicken tacos over beef tacos now because they sit better and they taste good.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like if you'd asked me 10, 15 years ago if I would prefer a pork schnitzel or a chicken schnitzel, I probably would have gone pork. But these days I much prefer the chicken ones, yeah. It's
Yeah.
more
You know,
succulent, more.
I myself also been getting away from a lot of beef. I still eat hamburger a lot. Like
Yeah.
when I make
Meatloaf.
enchiladas, I usually have beef and pork mixed in, for an enchilada. But
That's good. Yeah, that
and,
works.
you remind me, it's like maybe I could make a chicken enchilada too.
Wow,
You
that's
know?
really good, yeah.
Oh, for sure. You could do that.
Yeah. Again, Paul Bradbury, he's a good source of protein. He's also fantastic spam. Shaw says, Mama cat. I thought you said mono cat. I know you have a three-legged cat, but a one-legged cat? What have we got here? Dallas says, what do you think of them? Are they easy reading? So are they easy reading, those?
Easy.
Easy.
These, just
Travis McGee, yeah. If you're into that kind of thing, I mean, if you're not into those kind of stories, you probably won't enjoy it. But if you're into Ross McDonald and Raymond Chandler and stuff,
yeah, but he's a lot. He's not as gritty as Chandler.
yeah, no, yeah. He's
At least
more
it's
of
what I-
like Ross McDonald. I mean, Ross McDonald's less gritty, less hard boiled. So if you like Ross McDonald, Lou Archer stories, you're going to like John D.
Yeah,
McDonald,
okay.
Travis McGee stories.
That
Yeah,
reminds me, I have a whole collection of the Ross McDonald. I got to pick one up again.
love Ross McDonald. Yeah.
Aaron started his reread of the original James Bond books. That reminds me, Aaron's just started up his YouTube channel again. So if anyone wants to check him out, do head over and check out his channel there. And I saw you had a review of one of the Bond books out. Was it Casino Royale? Might have been. If you just started, probably if you're reading them in order. The originals had sexy covers. Yes, they did. Jenny's read one Bradbury, and I like both of them. Sorry? Did I read that right? I've only read one Bradbury, and I like both of them, so may have to get more. Oh, maybe a little typo there. The bug diet sounds like a great way to lose weight. Yes. Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. Depends how many you eat, because we'll probably find people eat them by huge volumes, maybe. In the future.
We probably eat tiny bugs every day and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
Well, for sure we do.
Yeah.
I loved Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yeah, me too. Awesome.
Good. I don't think you're too keen on the idea of the bugs there. Garlic butter makes almost anything good. Yeah, I'd say that's true. What have we got? It was Casino Royale. Yeah. What people back and forth with each other. Oh, 2 Bradburys. Okay, yeah. I thought you must have done. So, and Jim, what about you? What's on the docket for this week's reading? Still this Ernest Hemingway, or have you've got something else lined up ready to go?
No, I think just I'm going to finish that Ernest Hemingway and just get into some Holmes. I want to read some of these ones that I showed on my channel.
Oh,
These
yeah.
are like pastiche, and these are pretty contemporary to when Doyle was around. So I'm gonna delve into that. And then it's almost February, so I mean we'll be into Holmes come
Yeah.
February. But yeah, no big plans.
And are we reading the first week? What I meant to ask, which novel are we reading? I completely forgot.
I'm doing Sign of 4.
Me too.
Sign of 4. So me 3 then. Why not? Doesn't matter.
All right.
Which one.
Nice.
So yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's not a huge point. Isn't that the first locked room mystery? Or is that?
No. Well, Study in Scarlet had the locked room mystery.
Oh, I'm confusing it.
I think so. I'm trying to think what happened in Sign of the 4. It's been a while. But Study in Scarlet had the. Or am I misremembering?
I don't know.
Study in Scarlet had the poison in the locked room. That's Study in Scarlet.
Yeah.
I thought this was the one with the. Well, I won't give away spoilers. We'll wait till next.
The Sign of the 4 had the boat chase.
The boat chase with
the dog Toby. That.
Yeah. It's the Indian stuff. Yeah, from the colonies. Yeah.
Let me read it here. When Miss Mary Morstan invited Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson to join her that London night, all she knew was that someone had been sending her pearls, pearl after priceless pearl. Now she had received something else, a letter which promised to reveal the mystery and to right the wrongs against her. If you distrust me, continued the correspondent, bring 2 friends. She brought Holmes and Watson. Once the 3 arrived at the house that sheltered the mysterious treasure of the Sign of the 4 murder, murder had been committed against its custodian. Murder in a room bolted from the inside, and the treasure itself had vanished. So you're right.
That's right. Yeah, you are.
Mystery.
I remember that now. You were saying that.
Yeah,
because I remember them on the roof.
I mean, it was common that it's really not a very powerful locked room, but that's a whole different genre.
Yeah, Otto Penzler has a whole book of locked room mysteries, which I wish I had.
I would like all of them.
Yeah, John Creasy was a master of the locked room mystery, and Bill Pronzini did a lot of them too. Yeah, I don't know how you keep coming up with new locked room mysteries, boy.
Who did the Thinking Machine? I know he died on the Titanic.
Yeah, he died on the Titanic. I had that book. Van Dusen was the name of the character, right?
Something like that.
Elvis.
It was a French name. I've forgotten his name. Jacques Futrelle. Jacques Futrelle.
Jacques Futrelle is the Thinking. Okay.
Yeah, good character. I love that. The Problem of Cell 13, where he had to escape the cell.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a couple of comments here. Mostly people talking to each other. Dallas asked me, how's the library fundraising going? Very well, thank you, Dallas. Thank you. Yeah, we had 2 deliveries so far, and I need to make an order for a 3rd. And then that probably just about does it for now anyway. Where are we? Dallas says again, are you thinking of the Speckled Band? That was a locked room.
Is it? I guess.
Kind of, yeah. You could. I mean,
I know that's on my reread for a second week. Is that I do want to reread that one.
That's one of the better stories. I love that one. Adventure of the Speckled Band. So good.
I like the Red-Headed League.
Me too. Yeah, that's a classic.
That's a fun one.
Well, you see, that's my problem. Is like I don't want to just read one of the normal collections. I want to sort of like pick and choose.
Well, that's why you need these Penguin English Library ones.
I have the complete works of Doyle.
Oh
on
yeah,
my
I
Kindle,
know,
so-
of course. But I like these because they're not in the original collection, so they're mixed around a bit more. So it just adds that little bit of variety.
That's the one I'm reading for the short stories, the best of
Ah,
Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's got Doyle's favorite ones in here. Here's the list. Where's the table of contents? Of course, there's a huge introduction. Hold on. So, A Scandal in Bohemia, The Red-Headed League is like second on the list. The Five Orange Pips, which is awesome.
It's
The
great.
Man with the Twisted Lip, The Blue Carbuncle, The Speckled Band, The Copper Beeches, Silver Blaze, The Musgrave Ritual, The Reigate Squires, The Greek Interpreter, The Final Problem, The Empty House. It goes on. So there's like, I think 24 or 18, 20 in here. But yeah, get one of these if you can, and it just got all the best of them.
We should do a little online watch party because they have all the Rathbone and Bruce episodes on YouTube. So
They do. Yeah.
they do
No.
indeed. Yeah, they're in public domain, so we could actually even just do a live where we all sit back and watch one because they're only like an hour, aren't they? Pretty much.
I
They're
don't
not.
know.
They're like
I remember.
they're like a TV show. Yeah, they're maybe an
Yeah.
hour, a little over an
Yeah.
hour.
Great fun because they went through a weird thing where they kind of did them Victorian, then they updated them to like the 30s or something.
World War II
Victorian
era.
again.
He fought the Nazis.
But yeah, special World War II ones. So
Yeah.
Uh,
I think the best one was probably The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which was still in the Victorian gaslit era. You know.
mm. And there's and actually all the Jeremy Brett ones are on YouTube as well. You can
Oh, I
watch
love
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I came across it the other day. I don't know if you ever saw it. It was fun, but I guess it's maybe a parody or pastiche. Was the Without a Clue? Did you ever see that film?
Michael Caine and
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley. Yeah.
The idea being that Holmes was a complete idiot, and it was Watson who did everything along the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
But and you think you wouldn't like that, you know, because they're pissing on Sherlock Holmes, but actually, Michael Caine, he actually the character he played, I forget what his name was, Reggie something or other was his real name. He was an actor, but he actually did he counted the steps, like he knew how many steps there was, 17 steps up to the up to their room. So he wasn't quite so.
That's true, but of course, because he didn't exist, Holmes, did he? That's right. He was what Ben Kingsley employs him to be Holmes because he needs a Holmes to show to the world.
Because I guess the premise is Holmes was always an invention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's got Jeffrey Jones in it as well, I think, as Lestrade.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. God, it's been
it was a bit of fun. Any others here talking about Red-Headed League was very good and humorous too. Yeah. No, I mean they're great fun. I think we're going to have a ball with them actually, and it was nice to see that Michael K. Vaughan said today he probably can't take part in the full thing, but he's going to definitely join in with a couple of readings and stuff. So that's really cool.
I'm glad he's doing that.
Yeah.
Oh. Someone has written a series of books where Mrs. Hudson and her scullery maid did the problem solving. You could just have so much fun with it. I mean, it's one of my regrets that I haven't actually been into 221B Baker Street. I've just, I've seen it obviously from outside, but I don't know if you saw Aaron Faces did the Holmes tag, and he was there, and he was saying what a surreal experience it is because the tour guides treat it as if Holmes was a real person, like completely the way they said, this is where Holmes did this. And of course he didn't, did he? But, he's just so ingrained in our consciousness and our culture that it's just fantastic.
Yeah. Well, someone mentioned that it's now a museum.
Yeah.
Essentially.
My son's been there. My son went over there and he went in there and he sent me a few things like a keychain and postcard and stuff like that. So he's been there. I never have, but he has. But yeah, it was never an actual address either, Greg. Like 221B, Baker Street, they actually had to make that address, and then it was kind of, after
Oh,
the fact.
I thought
Yeah.
I just thought that Doyle appropriated the address from some business or whatever.
Apparently it was imaginary. Apparently there was a bank on the actual site where it should have been, if you count,
Right.
properly, but then they had to actually make a 221B Baker Street and
Hmm.
make a little museum and a little, walk up, little flat.
Amazing, isn't it? Really, that they
Yeah.
went all that to effort. I was thinking though, is there a collection of Holmes inspired literature or short stories from around the world? Because there must be so
Oh,
many I don't know, either pastiches of it or parodies of it, or things like I don't know, not Sherlock Holmes, but like Sexton Blake, or who's the one that Randy
Solar
likes?
Ponds.
Yeah, like this. But I bet you there must have been so many because I've got actually, and I plan to read. I've got Arsène Lupin versus Sherlock Holmes, because that's controversial, because he wrote that and published it while Sherlock Holmes was still alive, right? So, while Conan Doyle was still alive. So
that's the one that I mentioned in my video, the parody or whatever, Schlock. How do it?
Yeah.
Herlock Sholmes, wasn't it?
Sherlock Holmes. Yeah. But of course, now it can be published as Sherlock Holmes because it's in the public domain. But yeah, so I just wondered, whether there is like a collection you can get where you have, like, I don't know, Russian versions, you have Japanese versions, maybe, or I don't mean like translations, but like people who modeled characters on him.
I would love that if there was. I'm not too sure. Like, that'd be great.
I mean, when we have our guest on in 2 weeks, I mean, it'd be interesting to ask him about some of that, because he lived in Japan for like 30 years or something almost. Yeah, so he might know a bit about the Japanese Sherlock Holmes scene.
Are we sharing who the guest is yet with everybody?
Not yet. No, we'll save it for next week's kickoff. Yeah, with.
I'm gonna send my Discord to you, and maybe next week you could post a Discord for the Holmes channel.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. We'll have it on there. Or, I mean, I don't have to host all the lives, of course. Yeah, I mean, if you want to try, Jim, to have one on your channel, it's a nice way to get some traffic.
I could try. I'm not sure if there's anything else I really need to know other than just to send you guys the link. And
pretty much. If you're using this, yeah. But you do have to probably get it set up at least 48 hours beforehand.
Yes, StreamYard, give yourself at least 48 hours. You do your count.
Okay.
If you want to, I would say today or tomorrow, log in to StreamYard, get it set up, because then you have a StreamYard account and you have to link it to YouTube. And it can take up 24 to 48 hours at least.
I think I did that already. I think I did that part already.
Okay.
Because there was up on my site, there was a little, stay tuned for live stream for Mystery and Mayhem or something like that, because I had kind of done that, because I know you'd mentioned that before, Greg, I think. So I think I'm probably all ready to go then.
Yeah.
I can walk you through it, just like after this. I can just show you with the screen share how I set one up or whatever. It's pretty easy.
I mean, it's really easy.
Although some people we know struggle with working.
Well, the one thing I'm going to say is, when you set it, the first time I did it, I set it to private, because I didn't want it to go live immediately, and you don't need to work. What that eventually did is made it so no one could make a comment.
Oh,
on my first live.
Okay.
This is to keep it public, and you can't change it after it's gone live.
It still went live, just nobody could comment.
Right. It still went live. People could see it. No, because it's private, they couldn't comment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to go into YouTube on the computer and edit the show notes if
You
you want to put
do?
links in there so it can be seen. And there's some boxes to click. Like I always click the live chat replay so people can watch the chat. If you don't do that, then they don't know the comments. But then with StreamYard, we bring them up on the screen anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah,
But
I loved your artwork for it, Mark, that you put up with the four guys at the pub.
yeah, that was
That was good.
artificial intelligence. So
Oh, was it?
oh yeah, I can't claim credit for that, I'm afraid. So
Yeah,
Which
it looked
artificial
good.
intelligence did you use?
I just use Canva.
Oh, Canva. Okay.
Yeah,
I believe
have you tried it yet? Because I know you
I
use others. Have you-
have tried it a little bit. I forgot the one I'm using, Lab something.
Mm,
And some of its people are really, when you do people, some of their faces are really distorted.
yeah.
Like they don't know how to do a face yet.
Yeah, or fingers or like hands.
Oh
I
yeah.
I use Canva to edit my videos, but I haven't used like the AI on Canva yet. I used something else. My first couple of videos, I used AI artwork, and I just decided, no, I'm not doing the AI artwork anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's fine for things like that because I wanted to have something to get it across, and trying to find a picture because
and
obviously there's no four guys or whatever that look like us, right?
Right.
Necessarily. Whereas these don't look like us, but they are pencil drawings or whatever, so get away with
yeah,
it. So,
it's easy too. You know, I mean, honestly, it's just easy to put a prompt into your AI engine that you use and see what pops up.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly. Yeah, I said, put three bald guys and a guy with hair, all over the age of 45, and that's what we got. So
they
no,
all had hair though. They all
I
had
know
hair.
because I didn't do it in the end, but I thought I could try that, but it annoys me sometimes. You're like, yeah, give me four guys drinking in the pub, and it gives you four pictures, and two of them are four guys, and two of them are three, and you think I asked for four, so
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
they'll improve on it.
and
Yeah.
I have discovered that there's some limits to what they will let you put in.
Yeah.
Like I was doing one for somewhere, a man holding a gun in an abandoned building, and it
You
said,
can't
"Oh,
put gun.
this violates our restriction."
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not allowed to use man anymore.
No, you
I,
can
I
use it with gun.
I
I
know.
wonder though, Greg, if you like some of them, I think you can pay money to subscribe to them, like to get a
Mm.
higher end. And I wonder if you did that, if they would have allowed that kind of thing.
Maybe
Certain
the one
prompts.
I do gives you something like 15 credits a month, and
Right.
they can buy for like $10. You can buy like 200 credits or something. So it's
Well,
like,
on Canva, they give you 500 credits a month for your subscription to Canva anyway. So
no,
Oh boy.
I should start using the Canva one more and see. Here's an inch, like do a description in Canva, then
Mhm.
doing whatever. I forgot this other one that I'm doing.
Mid Journey.
Yeah.
I have not done Mid Journey. Mid Journey has really good.
Yeah.
Jim at Books Reading the Stuff does Mid Journey, and some of his covers.
Well, his Outlander one the other day was basically just like a still taken from the series.
Well, the thing is, Mid Journey has intelligence that knows some characters.
Mm.
If you put in like he did Huckleberry Finn, and there was a Huckleberry Finn character, so it has a database for well-known characters.
Yeah, I did a few book covers for a fun with Mid Journey, and they were pretty good.
For
Just
some
write the
reason,
title of the book, and it gave you a great cover. So
did you did a Sherlock Holmes one? I've done a couple Sherlock Holmes ones just for laughs, and they can't do a deerstalker. I've yet to for them to generate a Sherlock Holmes wearing his deerstalker and his like frock coat. They usually give him like a Raymond Chandler fedora or something
That's
like
what I
that.
got. I use that for my video. I put in Sherlock Holmes, and I got a couple images, and one was the one I used was okay. You would never have said that Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, weird, eh?
I think on my thumbnail I did for I don't know if it was the tag or the announcement video. I just took, instead of using the AI, I just took a deerstalker from their Elements library and just stuck it on my head, and I think that worked okay. It was maybe a
Yeah.
little bit few with, but it's...
No, it looked good.
What we got here? We've got, probably for you two more than me, Howard Sellers' Queen and Alfred Hitchcock Mystery
Ellery
Magazine.
Queen.
It's still worth... Sorry?
I think
Oh,
it was
Ellery.
Ellery Queen.
Yeah, and Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine. Are they still worth subscribing to?
Well, personally, I don't know about Greg, but I still buy them. I don't subscribe to them, but I'll go to the bookstore and I have them up. I have a whole bunch of them up here, and yeah, there's still good stories in there.
I don't know about those, but I did a buddy read with oh God, I forgot his name, but we did it. We were doing the science fiction short stories. He said, let's do one of the astounding science fiction magazines. And I had to say almost all those stories were duds.
Yeah, that's the risk, eh? Usually maybe you'll get one really good one, and the other ones are just kind of pedestrian, not the greatest. But every now and then you get a good run of good stories.
Yeah,
Depends
so
on
I
what
mean,
you
I
like.
have not tried the mystery. Maybe I'll try one of these days. Pick up one of the mystery ones and see if they're good. But I imagine the same thing. It's like you're going to get one, maybe two, and the rest are just filler.
Every now and then, I think they have like an annual Sherlock Holmes ones, or maybe once every or a couple times a year, where they'll have a Sherlock Holmes issue, Ellery Queen, and you get a Sherlock Holmes story or two in there. So there's still a venue out there for short stories, but those are pretty much the two that are it: Ellery Queen and Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine. Whereas back in the day, there used to be tons of magazines out there that if you were a short story writer, you could send stories to. And what's the sci-fi like Astounding Science Fiction is not even around anymore.
No, it's not astounding. It's there's Asimov's and what's one I read?
I'm sure Sean's here. He'll probably tell us.
I thought it was astounding, but
maybe Astounding's still around. Could be. But I know there's one out there that's still out there. Maybe it's Isaac Asimov's magazine.
Asimov is the other big one.
Okay.
There's two, and they're published by the same company.
True. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Do they get big named writers?
Analog. That's it. Analog, not Astounding.
Analog. That's it. Yeah, they do actually. They still get,
They still do. So it's not just so and so from his back garden shed who's writing.
Well, there's them too.
All right.
They sprinkle it, eh? Well-known writers with somebody who just, sits in his room like this one, right? Knocking off stories.
What else we got? Okay, so Aaron, I once passed it on a bus and thought, I guess 221B Baker Street. Thought that's where SOE had its headquarters during the war, and it wasn't until the bus was halfway down the street I remember Sherlock Holmes. Yes, of course. Yeah, Sax Rohmer's Fu Manchu is really Sherlock Holmes. Yeah.
Is that a Walt Newton reference, Sean? I haven't heard that particular theory, but
well, I don't know if he means actually Fu Manchu himself. Does he, or does he mean
the detective hunting
the two guys hunting Fu Manchu? But they're good fun. But what I really liked, I don't know if either of you guys have read any of the Charlie Chan books.
You've mentioned it before, and
I have, and I'll keep plugging away because it's one of those things where people, I think, are just too easy to judge and say, "Oh, it's going to be a load of like racist nonsense," and it's not at all. He's really respectful, Earl de Biggers, and okay, there are moments, of course, but Charlie Chan's the hero. He really is the hero of these books, and they are brilliant. They're great fun and really well written, and the mysteries are good. And I've only read 3 of the 6 because I want to save them, because that's it. That's all they're ever gonna be. And just really, if you've never read them, do yourself a favor and read the first one. You'll enjoy.
They're all public domain, right?
They're all public domain.
Okay.
And I even read one of his shorter novellas, which was great. I really enjoyed it. It's called The Agony Column. And it was I don't know, it was just for me so well done. It was there's this lonely American guy in London who takes out an ad. I can't remember if he answers an ad from somebody or he places it. But anyway, it gets linked up with this murder that happened, and then these letters are exchanged. And it was really, really good. And again, public domain, and it was you'd read it in an afternoon, really, that particular one. But yeah, he's well worth checking out, Earl de Biggers, definitely.
I've had the books in my hand a couple times, like an anthology once, but I never picked them up. But I've heard good things about them.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Where are we now? So I just received a book, The Lost Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I understand these are adaptations of radio dramas.
Yes. Yep. I got that on the shelf. That's exactly what they are. Adaptations of the radio shows.
If it's private, no one sees it. It just records. I used it for Desert Island Discs. I guess that's the setting on StreamYard. Bill's books. Hello, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Thanks, guys. Must go. Bye, Dallas. See you. But he's probably been gone a while because it was 7 minutes ago.
Oh, well, take care now.
What else we got here? Is Henry Higgins Sherlock Holmes? Christina's here. Hi, Christina. Good to see you.
Hey, Christina.
So yeah, no, definitely worth checking out Charlie Chan. I would say, I'm gonna stand in his corner there. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Because I've got a nice big book. Again, I think it's Otto Penzler actually, but it's massive. Hang on, it's right behind me. It's really, really heavy. Oh, it might be Leslie Klinger. Oh, I can't remember now. One of those two guys. Oh, a bit dusty.
Oh, boy.
Sorry?
I said, oh, boy, that's a big book.
Yeah, classic American crime. Yeah, it's Leslie Klinger.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's got... who's it got in there?
I saw that at the bookstore, that book.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, it's got the first Charlie Chan, House Without a Key. Then it's got SS Van Dyne, the Benson murder case. Then it's got the Roman Hat Mystery by Ellery Queen.
Ellery Queen, yeah.
Red Harvest by Dashiell Hammett. And Little Caesar by W.R. Burnett.
So these are novels or these short stories?
These are all novels.
Okay.
These are all first novels.
First novels in series.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. What's the 20th Century Crime?
20th Century Classic American Crime Fiction of the 1920s, annotated by Leslie S. Klinger.
I remember I was going to get it.
Oh, there you go. Introduction by Otto Penzler.
There you go. He gets around.
Yeah, he does. But it's beautifully, of course, like all of these, again, beautifully annotated with, all sorts of information and stuff. So
I wanted
still got to read the Big Sleep annotated version. Oh, sorry, I'm talking over you, Jim. Sorry.
No. Yeah, pick that one up for sure. The Big Sleep. But I was going to pick that one up, but I just couldn't justify it, because it's a huge book, and I just didn't have the space for it.
Well, like this one's like $27.
Yeah.
Hardcover, but how many books do you get out of that? 6 or 7?
Yeah.
1,152 pages.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you're not necessarily going to lie in bed and read this bad boy.
No, you kill yourself.
It could be the new mystery. How did he die?
But are you paying for the annotations in that one, or are you just paying for the stories, really?
I think it's probably for the annotations.
Yeah, like Red Harvest I have. What are the other ones in that one?
The House Without a Key.
Yeah. But
Red Harvest.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's nice it was included. So he starts off with Charlie Chan. So what do you say here? Anything? Classic American crime fiction 1920s, including House Without a Key, The Benson Murder Case, Roman Hat Mystery, Red Harvest, and Little Caesar offers some of the very best of that decade's writing. Earl de Biggers wrote about Charlie Chan, a Chinese American detective, at a time when racism was rampant. Yeah, but it's not. I mean, of course, you can argue that some of the depictions, of course, are racist, and the fact that Earl de Biggers isn't Chinese, but he very clearly has Chan as outsmarting all the white people in it, and being the hero.
He was the hero. He was the hero of the story.
Right.
He was
Yeah, for
brilliant.
sure.
And
Right.
again, it's like when you read these older books, I just can't put my modern sensibility into the text and read it as someone, like 2024 going back to 1924 and say, well, they're not like us. And no, they're not like us. They don't have the same values.
I find young people do that. Like they'll read something, oh, that's disgusting. But that's the way it was. That's the way things are written. That's the way the world was. And it doesn't necessarily mean that writer was racist, or that he intended anything negative. It's just kind of the way things were, like the Tarzan books are brilliant, but I mean he's been labeled as a racist, and so is Robert E. Howard. And any writer from that era could be labeled as a racist if you look at it that way.
Most people were. I mean, by our standards, they were. For the most of them, not all of them, but most of them.
But you can't negate that story just for that reason. Like they just refuse to even acknowledge that story. Oh, it's just a racist piece of garbage. It's not worth anything. But I mean, it is. Like Huckleberry Finn. I mean, what a brilliant book that was. And
the thing is, no one can read Huckleberry Finn and say Mark Twain was a racist.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw what the world was like, and he said, this was wrong. I mean,
yeah, he was a brilliant man, Mark Twain.
But when you also talk about, everyone talks about H.P. Lovecraft, and everyone knows H.P. Lovecraft was just a notorious racist.
Yeah.
What his most worst is the story called The Horror at Red Hook. And if you read that, I read it when I was 12 or 13, and I'm going even back then, I said, this is really strong. So it's like the insidious foreigners and whatever. But there's a horror writer named Victor Laval, who's an African-American horror writer. And he loves H.P. Lovecraft. And he goes how do I encounter that I love H.P. Lovecraft and know that he was this notorious racist? So he wrote a book where he parallels the horror at Red Hook. And he tells the story of someone else that you don't get to see, of an African-American musician in the background of the story. And I think that's just the perfect way to deal with that sort of thing. It's like, well, you have to create your own story around it and put your own values in it.
And everybody has their own story.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I did because I had a brief. I think I'll go back to it eventually, but I did this podcast thing where I had a different booktuber on every month to talk about their favorite author and what it means to them and stuff. And I was lucky in the second episode to have Michael K. Vaughan on to talk about Lovecraft. I mean, I have to say he's really, really knowledgeable about him, about his life and his works and stuff. It was fascinating because I'd never read Lovecraft. I only came to him really only heard of him, I think, when I started watching Michael's channel. So it was just really, really interesting to hear everything he had to say about the type of person he was. And I'm not excusing, of course, his racism and things like that, but he also didn't have a particularly easy life. He was racked with ill health and stuff, so probably he was probably a grumpy son of a gun anyway. But the thing was, the I don't know what's the word I want to say. The fact is, he was just somebody who pretty much hated everybody. So in that respect, pretty much on an equal basis. He pretty much hated everybody. So yeah.
Misanthrope. What are you thinking?
Sorry?
Misanthrope hating everyone?
Yeah. So I think, that's exactly it. So, but it was really fascinating. I got a few more comments there. The book looks amazing. Yeah, it is. But it is maybe one to just flip through at leisure or just to have on the shelf. It's not necessarily super practical for reading purposes.
Just don't read it while lying in bed. That's all.
Well, of course, they are every single one of those stories you can get from Project Gutenberg, probably, or somewhere in public domain anyway. So, it could be an effective murder weapon.
Could be.
I'm not sure what Bill means here. You guys might. Yeah. EQMM.
Mystery Magazine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense. November, December 2023 has 2 copies of pages 65 to 128. Pages beyond 128 are missing. All that I read, so are duds. Hopeful the Earl Stanley Gardner story will be good. Hamster is here. Hello, Hamster. Hello from.
Did they find a new Earl Stanley Gardner story? Is that what he's saying, or is it just one that's been reprinted? I'm just curious about that. Sorry to interrupt.
No. I think there was a slight delay, so that's probably why I talked over you. I apologize.
Okay.
Hello from New Zealand. Got my Sherlock Holmes and ready for February. Regards to Elvis and you good gentlemen. So there we go.
There we go.
Sean says they're not like us. Thank God for that. James says, Mark, what was the podcast called? It's called Tales from the Quill. And you can sometimes it's linked on my video. If you go to might be on my website. I don't know, but it's on. There's a channel for it here on YouTube. You can listen to it if you want to. Christina, sorry if you guys already discussed this. What are you all reading this weekend? I'll just come back to that because Bill's answered something here. Ellery Queen magazine has a story from, and then I guess Bill might have cut it off there. So yeah, we did mention it, but just as a recap, Jim's reading To Have and Have Not by Ernest Hemingway, and Greg's reading.
Finishing this up today, then got to pick. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to pick up next. I have a whole bunch of books to read in February, and I'm thinking of just dipping into them a bit early, just to get a head start on the month.
And I'll be reading a ton, I guess, like War and Peace, but I'm going to give this a quick go. So over the weekend as well.
You'll have to let us know, Mark. That looks awesome, actually. I would read that. Yeah,
I'm quite excited to give it a go. So yeah, will be good. There we have it. Yeah, I don't know about. I don't get to see too many magazines really of that ilk over here. I do get my TLS electronic copy every week, but I find that I just run out of time to read it, and they pile up. And sometimes I think, is it a waste of money? But then I do go back and try to catch up. But sometimes there was a good one for us actually back in January. I'll send you guys a cutting of it if I can, because it was all about mysteries and spy fiction. So it reminded me of like the whole Dr. November scene. Here we go. Sorry. Ellery Queen Mystery Magazine has a story from Black Mask, 3:00 in the morning by Earl Stanley Gardner.
Okay, so it's an old reprint from Black Mask magazine. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Jenny's saying, I made an alarmingly high TBR for February and it's still at 24 unread. Oops, maybe I'll do better with for January, she means probably. Maybe I'll do better with January, which has 30 books. Well, I don't know, 30 books in a 29 days this year?
28 days. Or is this is not a leap year?
It's a leap year, yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Right.
So
I find when I do TBRs, I started doing that for book 2, but I made some TBRs, and honestly, I can't follow them because I'm a mood reader, right? And then once I have my TBR and I see that and I say, okay, I got to read that one, then I don't feel like it. So I would rather just do like what MJ did: shop your shelves, go shop your shelves, and whenever I feel like reading at that time, that's what I'm going to read. Unless it's
yeah,
like a Sherlock Holmes event and that's all ready to go.
yeah,
You
but
know?
Sherlock Holmes is different, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't, you can always be in the mood for something like Sherlock
Yeah,
Holmes.
and
sure.
honestly, I mean, what is science? 126 pages.
Yeah, it's a short one. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing, but I don't know about you guys. I find, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like at Greg's, but like, I find that I just stand there procrastinating so much when I'm shopping my shelves, though.
Oh yeah.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, this one, that one, I don't know. And of course, there's a lot that needs to be read. I mean, I should really be on one of these challenges, yeah.
Well,
But
you know,
Well, yesterday I had like 5 books that I cycled through. I'm going to read this one. No, and I put it back, and I ended up on the 5th one, which was this one. And I said, okay, now I have to settle. That's the one I got to read. But it depends on your mindset and how you feel about things. Some people like to, there's that security and comfort. Okay, I've got these 5 books on my list. I'm going to read them, and then other people that will just, if you're a mood reader, will make them anxious. It just depends on the person, right?
yeah.
True. Well, then I think we're going over 2 hours, so I think we'll call it quits for this week. But do join us next week for the kickoff of Holmes is Where the Heart Is. Our fantastic event celebrating the life and works of Sherlock Holmes,
or better known as Homes for the Holidays.
Homes for the Holidays.
They keep saying Homes for the Holidays.
That was like, I keep forgetting, like you said, Homes where the heart is. And
Homes for the Holidays just rolls off the tongue better.
Well, it's great, but the problem was it was too. We didn't have enough time, did we? It was like already November something when Randy mentioned it, like doing Homes for the Holidays. We can't really fit it into December. So, but next year this year we could just do it again. We'll just have this one in February, and then we'll just kick it to December, and have Homes for the Holidays. So either way, it doesn't matter which way, however it works. So wonderful. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching. It's been a blast, and we'll see you next week. So,
this is my pub night, even though it's just
mine too.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye all. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.